Imagine waking up one morning, checking your phone, and realizing that everything you earned your entire life is suddenly worthless. Your salary, your savings, your future. This is not a movie scene. This is Iran. Today, in Tehran, shopkeepers are removing price tags because prices change every hour. In small towns, families rush to markets before sunset, hoping bread won't become unaffordable by night. Iran's currency, the rial, hasn't just weakened, it has collapsed officially. And behind the numbers, behind the headlines, are real people, real fear, and a nation quietly breaking. Tonight, we're going deep, not just into economics, but into human lives trapped inside a collapsing currency. Part 1. What does currency collapse really mean? When people hear currency collapse, they imagine charts, exchange rates, financial jargon. But for ordinary Iranians, collapse means something far simpler and far more terrifying. It means a teacher's monthly salary can no longer buy groceries for 2 weeks. Life savings lose value overnight. Medicine becomes a luxury. Planning for tomorrow becomes impossible. Just a few years ago, $1 equaled about 30,000 Iranian rials. Today, that same dollar trades near 600,000 rials on the open market. That's not inflation, that's economic freefall. And once a currency loses trust, it doesn't fall slowly, it falls like a cliff. Part 2. A day in Tehran. Real human story. Meet Reza. He's 42 years old, a father of 2, worked 18 years as a civil engineer. Reza did everything right. He studied, he saved, he avoided debt. Today, his life savings, enough to buy a small apartment 5 years ago, can now barely afford rent for 6 months. Reza says, "I don't think in years anymore. I think in days, sometimes hours." This is what currency collapse looks like on the ground. Not chaos on the streets, but quiet desperation inside homes. Part 3. How did Iran get here? Iran's collapse didn't happen overnight. It was slow poison injected year after year. 1. Sanctions, strangulation. U.S. and international sanctions cut Iran off from global banking, SWIFT, oil exports, foreign currency inflows. Less dollars entering the country means weaker rial. 2. Government money printing. To survive, the government did what desperate governments always do, print money. But printing money doesn't create wealth, it creates inflation. And inflation destroys trust. 3. Capital flight. When people stop trusting their currency, they escape it. Iranians began converting rials into US dollars, gold, Bitcoin, real estate, even household goods. The result? The rial wasn't just weak, it was abandoned. Part 4. The moment it officially collapsed. There's a moment in every crisis when denial ends. For Iran, that moment came when the black market rate became the real rate, banks couldn't supply dollars, inflation crossed psychological limits, prices doubled within months. At that point, economists stopped using the word decline. They used collapse. Because when a currency can no longer store value, measure value, transfer value, it is no longer a currency. It's just paper. Part 5. The silent crisis. Women, children, medicine. The most brutal effects aren't visible on exchange charts. They're visible in hospitals. Iran imports many critical medicines. As the rial collapsed, cancer drugs vanished, insulin prices exploded, imported equipment became unreachable. A mother in Isfahan said, "I don't pray for wealth, I pray for medicine." Children are pulled out of schools, young couples cancel marriages, birth rates fall. A collapsing currency doesn't just destroy money, it destroys time, hope, and future generations. Part 6. Why Iranians don't protest more. Many ask, why don't people rise up? Because collapse doesn't create revolution instantly. It creates exhaustion. When survival becomes a full-time job, resistance becomes a luxury. People are too busy finding food, protecting savings, helping family, avoiding debt. Silence doesn't mean acceptance.
It means fatigue. Part 7. Can Iran recover? History tells us one thing clearly. Currencies don't recover easily. Recovery would require sanctions relief, trust restoration, structural reform, reduced money printing, political stability. Without these, the Rial may survive in name, but not in function. And once a population loses faith in its currency, faith is almost impossible to rebuild. Final thought. The real cost of collapse. Iran's currency collapse is not just an Iranian story. It's a warning about mismanagement, isolation, broken trust, and the fragile illusion of money itself. Because money is not gold, it's not paper. Money is belief. And once belief dies, no central bank can print it back. Closing line. This wasn't just the collapse of a currency. It was the slow collapse of millions of ordinary lives. And the world is barely paying attention.